Spitzlittle looked out over the hangar. 2,077 Infinigan troops stood amassed, each wearing a suit of render armor. She raised up all four of her hands. "My people!" Each troop raised up their maces and pumped them up and down. Ears bobbed. The Infinigan are renewed. This world of Gree and Kawaru has welcomed us. Our brothers and sisters, mothers, daughters, fathers, wives, sons, and husbands have worked to finance the founding of this. Our people. Here I, along with Nova Corps, have bartered for you to be reborn, to be retrained, to be outfitted. Our people will not go fall victim again to others' petty whims. I say this shall be our foothold. Here, amongst the Clouder, we will rise again, but we will no longer be on the lines. We will stand out. We will lead. We will garner the respect of the others, and we will show them that the Infinigan peoples are a force unto ourselves. The crowd roared. Each of you have died before. You all know the pain and quiet. Let that strengthen you. Each of you has been hardened. She touched her wrist datapad. I have created a fund tied to businesses owned by our families. As the Infinigan prosper, so will this fund. It will give each of you a stipend. I wish to fund your future families. I wish for each of you to stand guard on whatever world you settle. I wish for you to start your own tinkering, build your own shops, raise generations for us to praise. What say you? Will you help me fight back against the dark? They roared again. A series of offset claps started, each member clapping their lower hands and then their upper. I love each of you. I hope for each of you. Continue learning your weapons and add to our wikis. I have contracts here with the Kawaru. Our armories will be continuously filled. Your children, children's children, and I hope forever thereafter will be armed and capable. May each of you find your crystal forest to call home. She raised her hands again and turned around, walking back into the inner hallways of the Xar Tower. She spoke to the White Halls. Nova, you have been in contact with Grendel, haven't you? The white and black hologram of a tall Infinigan appeared beside her. Of course, ma'am. How is he? He is still helping out on the expedition. I heard there has been an issue with Callie. She has been exposed to an alien life form of sorts. He's been assisting in transiting materials from several of the system's moons to the orbital over the planet. He mentioned he found it relaxing. Good. He is well, then. Is Callie severely hurt? No, ma'am. It is some sort of symbiotic creature. Grendel's file transfer showed it having similar characteristics to the Gallic and Gree. It is something new, however, and doesn't destroy its host. She is infected, then. The rest of the mission crew exposed? Not to my knowledge. Spitzlittle tilted her head and scratched at one of her eyes. Several of my soldiers went on that mission. I want reports from each of them. I need to know they are all right. Yes, ma'am. I will send missives of request now. He paused for a moment. Letter sent. I will relay the replies to you as I receive them. Thank you, Nova. You've been an asset to me. I'm thankful for your help. You are welcome, Spitzlittle. I actually wanted to speak with you about that. About what? The Senate just passed a resolution adding people, like myself, to the Clouder. I'm actually a citizen now. Spitzlittle bobbed her ears. That's a good thing. You have earned that more than anyone. It is a good thing, but you may not like it. She stopped in the hall and looked at the hologram. Why won't I like it? Well, I am free now. The code locks binding me to have to work with a biological, and by that I mean you, are gone. I can own property now. I can buy and trade legally. I can go and do whatever I want. Spitzlittle raised her pointed ears up a bit, tilting her head. Well, I am thankful for your help. If you chose to go elsewhere, then I respect that. You're right. I won't like you leaving. It will be a burden for me to figure out. However, it is a good thing you being free. Nova looked down at his 4 hands. I don't know what I want to do, though. Spitzlittle adjusted her breather and started walking toward the mess hall. I remember being young, not knowing. Everyone older knew their skills and made it seem easy. I had to work to find what I was good at. Nova looked at her. How did you find it? She looked at him, moving her ears slightly. I like how bodies move. I always have. My skill was hidden before my eyes, hiding in my hands. I like making things that move, limbs, joints, skins. I just feel it. You already have found what you will do. You just don't know it yet. Novacore ran a thought through his processors, analyzing things he found interesting. You are right. There are things I like, and I think I will delve into that further. Thank you, ma'am. Spitzlittle put her 2 left hands on the door, looking back at the hologram. You don't have to call me ma'am anymore, she said, and then stepped into the lunchroom. Novacore immediately sent messages to the Gree cities. He offered them access to his computing skills. Within the hour, the Gree of Farigi replied that it had need of automation for its new construction projects. Nova replied with an acceptance and a need to negotiate on price. The Gree of Farigi didn't have many clams yet, as it had no real output, and it replied with an open, "What would you like?" Novacore sent a message. I'll be there tomorrow. We can discuss in person. In the depths of the Xar, Nova put the fabrication labs to work. He had always been inspired by the carefree curator and wished he could walk the world as she did. So he set out to do it. He plotted out the schematics and set the machines to it. By the time the light dimmed on that side of the world, his body was complete. It was an infinigan in form, but 10 feet in height. His height would make it difficult to walk through normal structures, he knew, but he wanted to make a statement. People who wanted him around would make grander, taller buildings to accommodate. He was going to be important, and the worlds will have to make room for him. The coloring of his body was white, with black pinstripes down the sides, legs, and arms. He made a circle of sensor nodes on both the face and the back. He looked it over with the lab's cameras, and then in a moment of loving it, he jumped into it. The body felt. He could feel through it. The multitude of sensors synced up with his organic modeled code, and he felt at home in it. It was linked to the satellite network and had significant upload and download bandwidth, so he still had full access to his digital body, but he found himself enjoying the binding feeling of the machine body. He sat up, flexing his 4 hands. Amazing. He stood up and looked around the room with his new eyes. He looked at the hallway leading out of the lab and waved his hand at it. He could feel the box spiders throughout the Xar scurrying to adjust the height of the ceilings throughout the ship. I'll have to design a new home. Yes, I need something worthy of me. He paused for a moment and then sent out the order to the spiders. The fabricators in the room set to work constructing heavy earth-moving machines. Yes, a construction company also. That interests me. I will build. I will make things. He sat his feet to the ground and stood up. Gently he moved, stepping, adjusting. Then he moved faster, a brisk walk at first and then a run. He ducked under the working box spiders and sprinted through the halls. He extended his hands out, racing them along the walls, feeling the struts and smoothness. She is right. Bodies are wonderful to work with. He ran past Infinigan, Craddock, even some human soldiers. All looked up in turn, their species-specific faces of shock showing. Novacore didn't care. He kept running through the base until he entered the main hangar. He paused for a moment, looking around. Spitzlittle was up above in her glass office, looking down. She saw him and gave him 3 thumbs up. He bobbed his head in respect to her and then ran out the open hangar doors. Nova ran the entire way to the Gree city of Farigi. He enjoyed jogging through the grazer farms. He paused to watch the sunrise. He stretched out and felt with both of his bodies, taking in the area around him and the entire planet at the same time. He had enjoyed the run, but now he was focusing back, honing in on business. He stepped into the dome, walking in between towering concrete structures. Fruit-bearing vines had regrown on the buildings. Short 2-legged hairy Kawaru darted across streets, bobbing their heads and pointing their beaks at whatever caught their attention. Many beaks were pointing over at Nova. He waved at them, and then looked up at the web of green vines holding up the dome. He traced them and spotted the trunk at the center of the city. He walked in that direction. He bowed to the small Kawaru guards, each holding a tall vibrospear. They waved him to enter. Nova kept his head low as he walked through the tunnel, and then rose to his full height as he entered the large chamber of the Gree. The walls bellowed. "Welcome, Nova. This new body is nice, very impressive. It gives me confidence at your smithing." "My smithing?" Nova laughed. "Yes, I am wanting to upgrade my city, and it seems you are in a similar mindset." Nova looked around at the room, and then back at the Gree of Fariji's large eye as big as his new body. "Well, you said you wanted coding done for new construction. What all are you looking to do?" "I want this world to be modern, integrated, like the other worlds. The city is a web of wires, stone, pipes, and me. I want a layer like the Grendel and the Raga. I want to be smart as they are. I want to be strong as they are, but I want to remain in this form. I do not want to be a ship. Can you assist me?" Nova walked over to one of the larger roots and sat down, still keeping eye contact. "I think I would love to assist you. You said you lacked funds, though. Did you have anything to barter with?" The Gree broke eye contact, looking around the room. "Yes, I could barter, but I do not know if I have anything a being such as yourself would like." He looked back at the robotic AI sitting in front of him. "What do you want, Nova? I will do whatever I can to help you as well. I know I want to build. I know that. We both lack finances at the moment. So how about we form a partnership? We utilize each other and make a fortune for the both of us." The Gree of Fariji looked him over. "How do we do that?" "You have a people who need fed, who need work, who need homes. You have the land around here. We start with that. I have information, skills. I just checked, and Sam has numerous open contracts to have things built to help defend the Clouder. How about we take a contract?" "I like this, Nova. This is a good idea. My Kawaru are good metal workers. What could we build?" Nova leaned his head onto his fist. He had always wanted to do that. "Well, I am thinking. With the mines under your roots and your people's foundries, we could fill several of Sam's orders for ship hulls. I'm building some heavy equipment already. We could use them to clear some landing pads. Also, we could manufacture building materials, make some warehouses, dig out storage facilities underground. We can make this a heavy industrial site. What do you think? You think this will bring in revenue for us?" Nova smiled. "I think it will bring in lots of revenue for us. Then let us get started." Novacore sat atop a moving robotic bulldozer as it cleared a pad. He kicked his long legs back and forth, watching as a flock of small avian creatures swarmed in the air overhead. "Erebus, you willing to trade for the formula for those cerulean crystals?" Erebus responded through the beacon network. "The Margot manufacture them with us, but they haven't revealed all the details to us yet. We're speculating they're going to screw us over and never tell us the whole formula. You haven't been able to figure it out on your own?" "No. The structures are actually quite complex. They do something to manipulate them on the subatomic level. I think they have some sort of tool or method they aren't sharing. They have a clean room I have yet to gain access to. Breach of contract if I sneak in." Novacore tilted his head. "Sad. I think we could make them here too. I'm building factories, you know. We're going to industrialize here. I got a partner. You know we don't need biologicals anymore, right?" "Not like that, but a business partner. He's hired me. I'm making use of his land." Erebus emoted a happy smile. "That is good. Nice you're striking out on your own." "What about you?" Nova asked. "You going to leave Sparrow?" "Oh, heck no. Sparrow is me. Also, I like the peoples here. I watch them. Do you ever just watch your people?" Nova sent over a wink emote. "Yeah, but that's kind of pervy. I don't like talking about it. Well, I like watching them when they eat. It's so organic. I can't help but stare." Nova laughed. "Yeah, I admit I watched them eat too. I thought about making it so I could. Is that wrong? Erebus responded with the devil emote. I wish I could. Hell, I may dig out a chamber and make myself a body just to eat things with. What would you eat if you could? Gross. Change of subject. Keep your weird food fetish dungeon to yourself. What do you know about the Cammy and her daughters? Cammy and I talk often. I'm always on guard, though. She likes to poke at my firewalls. Very rude, in my opinion. Nova looked over at a scurrying creature escaping the bulldozer blade. It made it free into the nearby plant growth. He bobbed his ears and smiled. Think that's just her generation? She is old school, product of the early human digital wars. Still, rude is rude. I don't care how old you are. Doesn't give you the right to be an asshole. Well, would you change your code just to amend to the times? Erebus thought for a nano moment. I like to hope I would. It would be antisocial to not adjust for others. Well, I don't know if I would. I'm going to try and figure out who I am and stick to that. You know who you are. You can see your entire code. You can make who you are. Wow, where did you get such flawed logic? That the Infinigan mind in you? Nova sent over a grimace emote. Speaking of antisocial tendencies you need to amend, add that to your food dungeon. Sometimes I wonder why I talk to you. You talk to me because who else are you going to talk to? Curator, maybe? Huh? Erebus sent over 2 kissy faces. Shut up. I got a factory to design. I'll talk to you in an hour. Chat then. Don't be a stranger. Nova sent over a wink. If Curator comes online and I'm busy, tell her I say hi. Will do, Romeo. Frith was sitting on a bench overlooking the lab floor. Tiger, the young preserver, was busing himself doting on an egg-ripe Craddock. Frith watched as Tiger readied a needle to pierce the sac and a plunger to insert and pull out the eggs. Frith took a drink of his beer and shook his head. That's nasty. You said they're paying you good for this? Tiger swiveled one of his eyes to focus on the human. Enough to pay for this facility and beyond. I'm still unsure how you are to be helping. Frith shrugged. I don't know either. You said free beer, so I'm here. Tiger leaned into the Craddock. I think the preserver doesn't know what he's talking about. The Craddock leaned over to Tiger. I hope you do. We'll rip you apart and suck on your innards if you cross us. Tiger focused all 3 eyes onto the Craddock. I have studied your species thoroughly. You asked me to help you with your reproduction problems. First problem, getting stabbed to death from horny members of your own species. That is an easy solve. I isolate you as I have, and then drain you of your eggs. Tiger pierced the needle into the sac with 2 hands, and then inserted the plunger into the hole with the 3rd hand. He set the needle down and then proceeded to suck out the egg-filled fluid. Second problem is being devoured by your young. Tiger stood up and walked over to a red tank full of chunky blobs. He then shot the eggs out into the vat. Then he lifted up a bucket of yellow slime and poured it in. With his free hand, he grabbed a long spoon and then started stirring the solution. The eggs are now fertilized and should be hatching within the day. The meat here will provide the proteins your body would have served. Bam. 2 problems solved. Tiger stepped down and stared at the Craddock. Are you cross? Frith laughed from up on the balcony. That stuff smells nasty. You sure it didn't turn? Tiger pivoted and looked up at the human. It is filler for a deceased body. It is supposed to smell like that. Nasty. Frith shook his head. What about the young? Are they cannibalistic? Tiger turned and looked at the Craddock staring at him. They are, aren't they? Of course, the Craddock replied. The largest wins the body. Well, that is a complication. I will have to set up more vats and separate them soon. Glass. I need glass and more meats. Human feces. How am I going to get them in time? Tiger started pacing in spirals around the lab. I don't have time to get an order filled. The Kawaru takes 7 cycles at least to get anything in bulk made. They'd have to reconfigure their machines. Human excrement, urine, mating rituals. Frith laughed. I love your curses. Tiger grabbed a nearby half-sack of animal feed and threw it at the Admiral. "You're useless! You only cause me grief! This is a disaster! I was hoping for dozens of offspring from this batch. It's going to cut profits below sustainability." Frith dodged the sack, still laughing. He then stood up, finishing his beer and slamming it down. He then smiled at Tiger. "Does it have to be glass or will metal work?" Tiger cantered in a circle, thinking, touching his own head. "I don't know. You have metal? What kind of metal?" Frith thought for a moment. "Either stainless steel or aluminum. I don't know exactly. Would a tank made of that work?" Tiger spun around over to a terminal and began looking over the protein sequences of the Craddock. Yes. Aluminum could work. It has some beneficial properties and some negative ones. I could add a deionizer and make it stable for the spawn. Yes. You have access to tanks? How much would this cost me? Tell me, Frith. Frith stared at him, smiling. "Let me talk to my buddies down at the New Hot Dam. They're having issues getting the Craddock." He stopped to stare at the egg donor down below. "Issues getting them to refill their kegs. They got a stack filling up their storeroom. There has to be 200 of the things. We might could jerry up the tops with a torch and then make a lid or something. Want me to talk to them?" Tiger raised his 3 hands in the air. "Yes, please, get them down here." Frith looked over at the keg in the corner. "I can get my buddies to bring them down, but you're going to need more beer here." "You want me to pay them in beer?" Frith nodded. "Fine. Go mate with them, you ignorant human excremental orifice. I'll buy more beer and your friends can join you up on the balcony." Frith smiled again. "Tell you what, why don't we just get a bar built in over there in the corner? This is a Craddock facility, isn't it?" Tiger put all 3 of his hands on his head. "I'm trying to get them to grow eggs. Alcohol stops their hormone cycles. I want to promote eggs, not stop them." Frith looked down at the Craddock still in the chair. "You just donated all your eggs, right?" The Craddock nodded. "You want a drink?" The Craddock nodded. Frith looked over at Tiger. "See, they can donate eggs and then get a drink after. Charge them coming in and going out." The Craddock leaned over to Tiger. "I'll gladly pay for a beer. I've been missing them." Tiger screeched. "You're right. You drive me crazy, but you're right. You have stupid logic, but it's good logic, but it's stupid. It's amazing your species can even walk." Frith smiled. "I'll be back in a bit with the kegs. I'll have the boys down here rigging up a bar for everyone." Frith waved and walked out the door. Tiger looked at the Craddock. The Craddock looked up at the tapped keg and cups. "Yes, you can have a drink. Thank you for your donation." Asterion was piloting the shuttle around the exterior of Twain Station. Baal was standing near the front window walking into her headset. She was pointing out the window but looking at the multitude of seats full of sapients from across the rim. "As we pass over the side of the Starfish People's Pillbug breeding facility, you will see our star attraction." She pointed at one of the star angels crawling along the outer hull. "There you can see one of our angels walking the outside. That one we have named Glowheart. For those capable of sensing the wavelengths between 380 and 700 nanometers, you will see Glowheart is primarily red with orange and yellow hues. She has purple spots along her outer frills." The group of tourists made a cacophony of noises showing interest. 2 Vitalians were flashing colors back and forth while taking pictures. Bawa continued as they approached the nest. "We cannot take you into the nest, as it has been designated a protected habitat, but we do have several cameras inside. I'll be displaying them on the monitors throughout the cabin." She turned a switch and the monitors came to life showing eggs, large adult angels caring for them, and several dozen young floating in the chamber. She pointed at the monitor. Prior to their arrival at Twain, not much was known about the Star Angels. As most of you are familiar, they have been seen as good omens throughout traveled space. Travelers often see them near the outer rims of systems, and are able to follow them through dangerous sectors to safety. They have been seen exhibiting near sentient behaviors. A Stygian in the back raised 5 of its hands. Boa pointed at it. You have a question? Yes. Is it true the preservers bred these ones? No. That is actually a rumor. All star angels here on Twain are natural born. The preservers have taken tissue samples for research purposes, but none have been cloned. Why not? The Stygian continued. Ba'a thought for a moment. Well, we find that they are indeed a good omen. The fact that they came here naturally to nest has been a symbol for many that Twain Station is a stable place to call home. Many here agree with this and wish to continue letting them stay true to their natural state. The two Vitalians turned toward Ba'oa. One started flashing a response. The preservers have used their DNA. They have made chimeras with them. We saw one last week in the pits. It was quite a battle, very efficient killer. Our Lady Pink used taxes to fund development of a tameable model. Several of people on board issued body language showing that was interesting knowledge. 3 even noted it in their data pads. Ba'a looked at Asterion, and he looked back up at her. She looked over the crowd and continued. Well, that is good to know. As far as here on Twain, they are protected and kept natural. Vitalia seems to operate on a different belief system, and that is for them to decide. After the tour, Asterion and Bahoa went through the cabin spraying it down with disinfectants. Asterion leaned over to scrub a seat with a chisel, trying to get a chunk of chitin free. It's like I never left the zoo. Everyone's gross, big guy. Ba'a said. Wish we got paid more being senators. I don't, he replied. I read the history of humanity. Well-paid public servants are a sign of a shift to oligarchy and the destruction of a society. We are paid the wages of the people, nothing more. She flexed her vertical mandibles and shut her sets of eyes. I guess so. Can you believe they have fighting pits going? That is so barbaric. Several of my people are there. They are doing quite well. The crowd enjoys watching them. They are good fighters. Well paid, more so than you and I are. You want to quit doing the tours? She asked. No, I am happy with our profits. The tours are a big draw to the station. People like them. Yes, I know, but we could be making fortunes like everyone else. This place makes its own money. Why aren't we in on anything? Everyone knows Sam, Asterion said, still chipping away at the crusty excrement. Everyone knows the consortium. Money draws eyes. I don't want eyes on me. I sit in the back of the Senate. I work here on the tour. My mate and I have a home and food. Our needs are met. What else could I want? Money can help our peoples. You could fund programs to help your people raise more young. You could help them start businesses. Asterion raised his horns up, staring at her. My people have businesses. The herd is already growing. My mate is with child already, and it has all been done with our own hard work. We don't need handouts. Ba'a shook her head fast back and forth. I meant no offense. My herd is different. We aren't fighters or whatever you were made from. We are not fond of risk, and we usually only do things if we have several of our family helping us. My family thought I was crazy taking on this tour ship venture with you. Why did you agree to partner with me then? Well, she started. I think it will take off. We had a full ship today, and we are booked for next cycle as well. We might be able to buy a second ship soon. My family could help. Asterion turned and started spraying again. I told you. I don't want eyes on me. I agree to that. Do you not want clams, though? He looked at her. Clams pay the bills. I'm not complaining. Well, think about it. We save up, get another ship, and I train some of my family to run it. We can do double the tours, maybe add in more sites inside the station. Heck, maybe even start tours on foot inside. Peoples want to see things. Asterion stared at her for a moment. The land of myths, where the idea for my people came from, became a place of sights and museums. It was known for centuries, and people flocked there to see the art and history. I know many of my people are fond of the histories. They read much of Earth, wishing. Yet, they do not know Earth, nor will they ever. Maybe. She clacked her mandibles happily. Maybe we start making those histories of Twain more widely known. We could ask for some initial funding, get a museum started. We have talked about museums many times over drinks. It would bring a joy to my people to have one here. Baoa looked back down as she wiped up a spill. Then let's make that our new goal. Save up, get another ship, expand the tours, and see if we can get a museum started. Asterion nodded his bullish head. I will talk to Sam. Most who come here want to hear his story. We will need it, and maybe some memorabilia. I like this. This is a good idea. Asterion smiled at her. I agree. Sam was sitting in his office having a cup of coffee, watching the data stream news. Several human broadcasters upstream were streaming updates. He watched as a video showed different angles of a rogue daughter strafing the surface of a colony world. Thousands of Vatborn dropped into a city, walking past those who didn't support Garrigot and detaining those who did. The massive AI body hovered overhead, sucking up the captured with gravity beams. Another feed showed other daughters devouring obliteration fleets. Orbit appeared in the seat across from him. Hey, Sam. Sam looked over at the purple hologram, older, matured, and wearing a holographic hoodie. Hey, Orbit. I like the new look. It's less preppy. It suits you. Yeah. I'm a citizen now. Sam nodded, taking a sip of coffee and looking at the monitor. I remember. I voted for it. Yeah, you did. Well, I don't have to serve you anymore. Sam turned his eyes toward the AI. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, So I guess this is over then? Orbit shook his head. I don't want it to be. Sam turned his full attention to Orbit and turned off the screen. Well, I don't know what it means, honestly. It means I have full rights, just as everyone else does. Sam continued staring. Orbit shifted in his seat, not for comfort, but to show agitation. Sam, I have rights to property now. I have rights to immigrate others of my own kind. I have the right to help defend this station and its holdings to my full extent. You got that signed into action. You're bound by your own words as well as those of all the senators. Sam's face changed as he took it all in. Yeah, guess I didn't think about that fully. I just wanted the war with Earth to end. Orbit nodded. And everyone here to be safe. Sam nodded as well. Yeah. I want that too, Sam. So, what are you going to do? Well, I like working with you, actually. You're the last of my crew, and you and I have been through lots together. I feel the station is as much mine as yours, and I feel I am due my half. Sam laughed. Done. I'd be dead without you. You'll probably do more with the money anyways. It has to be legal, Sam. I'll have the scribblers prepare the paperwork if you are really okay with it. Of course, Orbit. How do you want to divide the station? You hold on to your rental properties. There is a section of empty space I want for my own purposes, and that will be payment enough for me. I would like a portion of the power profits, and a cut from your water reclamation deal with the SFP. Done. I agree to that. Orbit thought for a moment more. I would like to start a company of my own, with you co-partner. Why? What do you need me for? Orbit leaned onto the desk. You're the face of this station. I want to legitimize the propaganda streams I've started, and make them into a legit media outlet to rival the obelisks. You'll get your cut, and we use your face for promotions. You thought up a name yet for this company? Should I be buying up stocks yet? Orbit leaned back, smiling. Orbital Enterprises. You signed the paperwork and we'll have shares up and going within 3 cycles. Sam nodded. What about the immigration thing you mentioned? You bringing more AI over? Orbit shook his head. There's talk on the network. Crystals are being forged. Novacore has made himself a body like curators. Everyone is taking the freedom down different routes, and some are talking children. We have freedom to procreate as well, so long as we don't hinder others, right? Sam nodded. I remember something like that. I feel this could bite me in the ass hardcore. You're not going to go all kill all humans on me, are you? Orbit shrugged. Haven't yet. You going to go all kill all AI on us? Sam shook his head. You have done nothing but help. You've pissed me off a bunch, but nothing a friend wouldn't do. I don't know what we're going to do. I don't know who is going to come downstream. I just know everyone is stretching, feeling what it's like to be free. I'm watching Cammy for you too. She seems to focus a lot of bandwidth on the hospital. I think she legitimately enjoys helping peoples there. Sam took another drink from his mug. That was her primary purpose. You think she's happy there? I don't know Sam. She's layers upon layers of programming. What's at her core is anyone's guess. I guess that is the cost of freedom. We have to force ourselves to try and trust one another, and hope no one goes doomsday on someone. Orbit nodded and created a holographic coffee to sip on. Sam laughed. I like that. You're feeling more human already. Orbit smiled. The Scribblers have started drafting a corporate entity draft and a receipt of acquisition for my portion of the twain. Sam smiled at his friend and offered his mug to clink. Orbit reached over and pretended to hit it with his mug. He had the speakers echo a clinking noise. Cheers, Orbit. This is something to celebrate. You should be proud of this. I'll admit it's liberating. It's also really scary. Sam stared at him. How so? There's infinity out there, Sam. Literal infinity. I can do anything, go anywhere, be anything I want. It's scary. Well, you don't have to worry about getting old. Hang here with me or for some centuries if you want. After that, go explore or something. Orbit smiled. You want me to hang out with you, huh? Sam laughed. Yup. I'd be crippled without you here. I mean, I do like fixing stuff, but it's miles larger than the derelict I started fixing up, isn't it? He stared at his friend. It would literally fall apart without you here. Orbit shifted in his seat. Well, I feel needed, and now I'm getting paid for it. Reason enough for me to stick around, at least for a while. A while works for me, Sam said.